Hi, my name is Matilda Shea, and we're here with another episode of How I Got In series. So, I have with me today's guest. Her name is Lesley, and she's a junior at Ithaca College. So, welcome to the show. And I'm going to ask you now to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you. Where were you born and your major, just a few little things before we get to the questions.
Cool. Hi everyone. I'm Lesley Paredes, and I am a junior at Ithaca College. I'm originally from New York City, and I started going to Ithaca in 2018. And I'm a double major in politics and documentary studies.
Talking about your experience prior to getting to Ithaca College, you mentioned before that I know that you're a first generation student, but what was the process like for you and your experience in high school? Did you have a lot of help, even with guidance counselors or your family, or was it a new process for you when applying to schools?
Well, I'll definitely say that I was a little stressed out when I was applying to schools. I wasn't really sure how to do it. All I knew is that I had to do it. My high school had made it very, I guess, n- it was expected that most students in my graduating class would be attending college. So that process was given to us to talk about probably around my junior year in high school. And of course, we had our guidance counselors and um, to kind of help us out through the process. But at least in my experience, my guidance counselor had so many students that she needed to take care of that sometimes she couldn't get around to getting to everyone's needs. Um, for me and my counselor, I've probably met her about 4 times, 3 times throughout the whole process, and that was about it. And really, it was just consulting other students as well about how to go through the college process and how they were doing it because I had never done it before. I only had another family member go to college, and she wasn't a sibling or anything, she was just a cousin. And so I was like the first child of my parents to be going to college. And obviously looking through videos, they kind of give you just a brief explanation of like what you have to do in terms of how you have to send your materials through the college board, and how you have to send in your personal essays through the college board. And it's kind of all just like an overview that we had to do in the auditorium with our entire class, like this is how you do this is how you do this, and this is how you do this. And other than that, I like saw my counselor like I said before about 3 or 4 times. And then I just like did everything else on my own. But I mean, I was definitely stressful because I had to figure out how to get financial aid by myself. I had to figure out, well, what's a good topic to talk about for my essay by myself. And I had to figure out the SATs by myself, like what I needed to take and what schools required subject tests. That's something that my counselor just briefly went over, and that was about it. Um, and I mean, I didn't really have a lot of help from anyone else, at least not in my family. I kind of just knew or try to figure out on my own what I was doing.
So you mentioned before that your guidance counselor had a lot of students to take care of or to attend to. Did you go to a big high school? Was it in the city?
Yeah, I went to LaGuardia High School in New York City. It's a performing arts school. And I would say that my graduating class was about 3,000 kids. So we only had about, I want to say, 10 guidance counselors for the entire class. It might be a little bit more. But from what I remember, at least my guidance counselor was taking care of our year's um, students for the theater class, which was about 90 kids. But I think she was just taking care of the entire theater class. So that was, I want to say about like probably like 300 kids about. And she also had to take care of another major's kid.
Mhm.
So that's another added 100 kids. So I'd say she was maybe taking care of about 400 kids. It's not just like the students that are applying to college, it's also the students that she has in general.
And so what was it like also the financial aid process and even the SAT process? Because obviously only your cousin had gone through the college process and like you had to figure out on your own and you might have like friends around you who had a lot of help. So how did you like get through it and like, overcome that challenge?
I would say one of the most stressful things was figuring out how to file the FAFSA. And everyone talks about like, oh, well, you have to file this, like this is very important so you can get financial aid from your college. And again, it's something that I knew about, but it's not exactly something that I knew how I had to do it. So the first time that I was trying to complete the FAFSA, I reached out to my god sister for help, and um, me and her were both going through the college process, and
Mhm.
we asked her older sister for help. So she had already graduated college, and she kind of guided us both through the process, and we did it together. And so ever since then, like I've been able to do the FAFSA on my own. But I would say that like figuring out how to find scholarships was definitely difficult because it's very easy to just be like, oh, just go online and like look for scholarships. But there's also scholarships that are very specifically catered
Mhm.
to, I don't know, like, are you Latina pursuing a career in law? Are you Latina or a woman pursuing a career in documentary? Like,
Mhm.
there's very specific scholarships out there that you don't really even know about because
Mhm.
someone has to like kind of guide you as to what you're looking for. And I didn't really have that guidance, so I kind of just got the financial package from that my college gave me, and then I had the FAFSA, and I applied through one other scholarship that my dad's company gives to its students of their employees, or children of their employees, sorry. um,
Yeah.
and that was it. Everything else kind of was stressful doing it on your own.
Did your parents try to help you at all, or was it kind of like you reaching out to other members of your family or like people around you in school or anything?
It was mostly me reaching out to friends because, there's also a language barrier when with my parents as to they don't really understand the process of
Mhm.
what it's like to apply to college in the United States. They're from another country, so for them, having not gone to a college in their own
Mhm.
country, and so not really understanding what the process looked like there, it was kind of difficult for them to understand what the process looked like here. All they knew is what I told them, is that I need to get this done because it needs to get done for this reason, and I need to have these certain things in by a certain time, and these
Yeah.
applications are due on this date, on this day. They just knew what I told them, and
Mhm.
they were just like, okay, just do what needs to get done. And they just knew that I got into college.
Yeah.
They really didn't see what the process looked like because I was managing it on my own.
Obviously, decision day, like, why did you decide to go with Ithaca College?
So partially it was because I wanted to get out of New York City.
Mhm.
It was one of the colleges that had accepted me that was not in New York City. And it was also one of the colleges that offered me the most financial aid.
Mhm.
So I knew that it was a manageable payment for me and my parents. And later on, we wouldn't have to struggle as much in terms of loans. Um, so, I talked to my parents. I said, hey, this is the college I want to go to. It's
Yeah.
kind of far, it's like 4 hours away. For them, it was like, you don't want to stay here and like go to
Yeah.
college here. Like, you'll live here and everything. Like, we'll take care of everything. And I'm like, I feel like I need to get out there on my own, be
Yeah.
a little bit independent. And so, eventually I kind of persuaded them. And I honestly didn't make my decision until decision day, where I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to commit. And I chose Ithaca.
Yeah. And obviously, like, why did you decide to go with the major and minors that you have right now?
Yeah. So honestly, politics is something that I didn't start getting into until I want to say around my junior year in high school. And I always been a history nerd, and it's just something that I really enjoyed. Like,
Yeah.
it was always one of my favorite courses to study in school. So, it kind of just made sense. And, throughout my first year, I was like, I can see myself doing this for the rest of my life, or at least studying it here and then finding a career after I graduate that has to do with my major. Um, and I originally had the intention of like double majoring in sociology or like psychology, but I
Yeah.
took a psychology course and I was like, I like, it's interesting, but it's not something that I want to like for
Mhm.
double majoring. And I guess the creative side of me was always like, do something in the communication school. And so I started talking to someone and looking at the majors that Park offered, and trying to find something that best fit me. I came across the documentary studies major, And it kind of combined all three things that I wanted to do, which was like cinema and photo and journalism into one. And so I was like, this is perfect. And now here I am. Now I decided to double major my sophomore year. And like I don't regret that decision. Like it's stressful, but I love doing it. So
And like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, where do you hope to be at?
I hope that I'm like in LA working for some big production company or some up and coming production company. I just hope that I'm doing work that I'm passionate about and that I'm making documentaries that I really enjoy and that I'm passionate about. So maybe.
And if you had to like look back at your high school experience and your the process during the application process, is there something that you like wish you would have known or wish someone would have told you, or even things that you would have liked to see like a change in your high school?
Yeah, I think, when I was applying to colleges, I was trying so hard to be the person or a person that the college would want rather than me really showing who I was through, all my essay questions and my college interviews. I think that I was really like prioritizing like, like having to like fit this like cookie cutter of like, oh, the perfect student and not really shining through what I could have talked about in my college essay and what I could have talked about in my interviews, like things I actually liked. I think I was just like pretending to be someone that a college would want rather than actually being myself. And I wish someone had told me that like, oh, like don't try so hard to like, how do I say this? Like, you know, I think that we kind of like put a lot of value on big name colleges and it's I like it's I'm not discrediting anyone who attends one of those big name colleges or has been accepted, but I think that that just adds more stress into the whole process. And just know that like wherever you end up, it's like you're gonna be okay. Like you're gonna make the best out of it. It's something that I had to learn. Something my mom always told me is like the student makes the college, not the college makes the student.
Whoa, your mom has really good quotes. If you have to give advice to to people like seniors in high school who are going through it right now, especially first gen students, is there anything you would like to tell them?
Yeah, you're going to be okay. And I know that everything seems so stressful right now, and the added stress of COVID and everything, and that hasn't made things any easier, but it's going to be okay. You're going to find your place, and things may not be the way you wanted them to be right now, but everything will fall into place and you'll be okay.
That brings me into my last question, which is like with regards to the pandemic, like how are you adjusting to the college setting from obviously you were home last semester, the semester before, I assume, but now you're back at Ithaca. And what was it like when you were at home doing your schoolwork and now like being back on campus?
Yeah, being at home was definitely stressful. And obviously, no one kind of expected to be in that situation. We went on spring break before, and, around that time, we'd kind of like heard rumors, oh, COVID. And I live in New York City. So by that point, like
Mm.
my mom before I went home for break, my mom had already started texting me, hey, like when you're on your way back home, just don't stop anywhere, just come straight home. Like, just be safe. And um, we're getting messages from the college that like, hey, like you might be having like an extended break, and then that extended break turned into having to permanently be at home. And so you're kind of just like thrown into this like, okay, I'm not going back to college. I'm here for the rest of the semester.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Like I was so stressed because we have little kids at home and they're trying to like get adjusted um to online school as well. My brother who's in high school, he's a junior right now actually. Um he has to get like adjusted to online school as well. And for me, like I think I had the easiest in the sense that I understood technology and I could communicate my professors enough. I could communicate with them enough and be like, figure this out, this whole like online situation. but I would say the work was definitely difficult because
Yeah.
it was hard to work, do the amount of work that I had to do in the environment that I was in because there was so
Yeah.
much noise always. So
I
um,
totally get you.
yeah, it's stressful. Like
I know.
so,
I have
like
two
after
little
my class,
siblings.
yeah, it's stressful. And after class, I just like take a nap and then I'd like do work at night when it was quiet. And
Yes.
yeah, hard. And that really messed up my sleeping schedule. And then by the time finals came around, I was so happy to be done. But like I knew at least for myself personally that like in the fall I couldn't do another semester at home because it would definitely
Mhm.
affect my grades. And I wanted it to be okay. Like I just needed that like space and peace to be able to actually like work on everything that I needed to get done.
I hope you enjoyed having Lesley. And this was another episode of the How I Got In series for my college timeline. And please feel free to comment and ask any questions.